Everyone, welcome to the Pretty Badass podcast. I am your host, Autumn, and I can't wait to introduce you to the talented, beautiful, and oh so lovely Marie Monti.
No matter the wave I'm riding, tell me have you decided? 'Cause either way I'm vibing. Hi Autumn.
Hello,
Hi,
darling. Thank you for being here today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Before we get started, I have to acknowledge and give praise to the song that you just heard, because that is kind of why she's here. It's why we became friends. And the song is called Either Way. And there's a little backstory to it. I was going through a hard time getting out of a very toxic 5-year relationship. And I really didn't know how I was going to get through it. And I didn't know if I was going to be okay. And I know that a lot of us have been there. So I hear this song and I realized that I knew this person. I'd actually met her before. She says I gave her a little shade. But I really wasn't. I was just kind of closed off. But I hear this song and some of the lyrics are, either way, I'm still vibing. And whatever wave I'm riding, it's just like, no matter what, I'm going to be okay. And so I reach out to a friend and I said, I have to get her in some of my Autumn avec toi denim. She comes over to the house and we became best friends.
Yep.
I mean, I really do feel like you're a best friend. And so I'm just really excited for people to get to know why. I think that you deserve the first spot on the Pretty Depressed or okay. So, all right, I guess I have to talk about that. I wrote a book called Pretty Depressed. I am no longer pretty depressed. I am pretty badass, not every day. In fact, I hesitated to start this podcast because I didn't feel badass. But that's kind of the trick, is that you're not always going to feel badass. And, some days you're going to feel pretty depressed or pretty sad or just pretty mad and just pretty crazy. But Marie has always inspired me since I met her, and she embodies the pretty badass, just all around. Everything about you. It's amazing. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, something that you would like everyone to know about you first off.
Thank you so much for this introduction, Autumn. I love you. You're amazing. And yeah, I feel like this is so crazy, the way that we met and how it, now it's full circle and we're here talking about, your journey, my journey, and the song that really brought us together. But yeah, my name is Marie Monti. I'm a singer-songwriter from France. I moved here to LA about 6 years ago to pursue my career as an artist. And obviously, just like in any artistic career, there's been a lot of highs and lows, a lot of lows. And I've just been, going through it and learning to enjoy the ride and fall in love with the journey. And I feel like that's been, the biggest lesson I've learned.
And that's why you wrote the song, right?
Exactly.
Because that's kind of what we bonded over, is that you told me that you wrote the song because you were going through something similar, not in a relationship, but this was professionally.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
totally.
When you wrote that song, what was going on in your life?
So this song kind of happened in my life this year. I think it was around the March of the months of April or June. I had just parted ways with my former label, who I had been signed for 3 years, and it was just not working out. We didn't have the same vision, whatever. So I pretty much had to start from scratch after everything I had been working on all these past years. And that was really, really hard in terms of, like starting again from scratch as an independent artist, like trying to find the right team and people to trust in this industry. And I feel like, that's really where this song resonated with me, because it just empowered me so much. And it was like just giving me the strength that I needed in these times when, you wake up in the morning and you're like, all right, like I where do I start? Like,
It's definitely, I mean, it definitely gave me that strength. I mean, I listened to it on repeat. I feel like I can take credit for at least like 1,000 streams. It's kind of embarrassing. I was fanning out.
it's not embarrassing. We love that.
But that's, I mean, it's a good song. No, I mean, relationships are hard, whether it's with your business, whether it's with a partner. So I thank you for writing that song. And I know that either way, you have been okay. And some of the waves that you've been writing have been pretty good. So do you want to share anything new that's happening? I know the holidays are coming up. We talked about some stuff. And so you have a new song coming out.
Yes, I do. I actually have a bunch of new songs coming out, but I have one in particular for the holidays. It's my little Christmas gift to all of my supporters and my friends and family. It's the first time that I made a Christmas song. It's called Christmas Night, and it will be out on December 7th. So I'm super excited about it.
I can't wait.
It's really cute.
Is this, okay, I also have to say, not only does she sing in English, she sings primarily in Spanish and also in French. And now your first language is French?
Yes.
So, okay, so is this Christmas song is it in all three languages, or are we getting it in, how many languages are we getting here?
That's a really good question, because I mean, as you know, like some of my songs, most of them are bilingual or trilingual, but this specific one is just in English.
Okay.
So it's just in English.
I will finally understand every single word that the song says, because I sing all of her songs. Forgive me, because I have no idea what the Spanish ones are saying, but I grew up in Florida, so Cuban Colombian vibe. Always listen to, Spanish, Latin music. And so I love it. It's just, I guess when you feel the music, you don't really have to understand what they're saying.
I agree.
So, okay. Talking about relationships in the industry, we were talking about business relationships. So do you find that other relationships, that they are difficult to have, say, romantic relationships while you're in your industry? Because I know that in the past, and I wonder if it's changing, but when you're in the scene, when you're in the light, you often, in the past, were supposed to be viewed as available or just kind of, I mean, that really kind of sells, right? It's like, if you're available, then more people are going to like you. And that they're afraid that if you're in a relationship, that maybe that could push some of your fans away. So how do you deal with that when you're dating and in romantic life?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's a very important subject, in this, like in the entertainment industry. And I feel like even like more widely, like any type of career, when you're ambitious and you want to, push your career, it's kind of hard, right, to make room for someone. And as a woman, when you're when you're very driven and you're working a lot towards a dream, it's definitely harder to find the right person, because you're going to need someone that you can trust.
Oh, yeah.
fully.
So it's not even just the fans or the outside people. It's the person that you have in your corner.
Exactly.
Because they have to be understanding. They have to make sure that they're going to support you and not get jealous and upset. So
exactly.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
And have the same vision.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's a very lonely journey in a way. Like you meet a lot of people and you make a lot of friends and a lot of connections, but at the same time, you're really like on your own, because this is all about your art and the choices that you make for your career. Like, for example, I've had to leave my family, my friends behind, in France, and like there's a lot of sacrifice involved. And for someone to understand that within a romantic relationship, I feel like it's really hard, because it can be hard on the couple itself. It's not like a regular lifestyle. Like my job is my life. It's not a job. It's not a 9 to 5. It's every second of my life. It's a part of me. So definitely. And then, like, to answer your question about like the industry and the fact of feeling available or something, I don't really feel it like that, like in terms of my audience and my fans. I feel like maybe now also with social media, people are more receptive and more open to just like see you and
having a
learn
lifestyle.
exactly, and learn to love you for who you really are and what you do and stuff. And I'm more about, like, I believe a lot in authenticity, and I feel like it's important in order to build any type of relationship, to be authentic with the people that you interact with. But yeah, definitely. I mean, this industry is very shady, so definitely not from the side of the fans, but more, from the side of
it's the stuff we don't see, the stuff that we forget. And I mean, even being your friend now, I guess it kind of surprised me when you led with, it can be lonely. And it's like, to me, I'm looking at you and I'm like, oh, your life is so fun. And I see you doing all these events, and, I'm with you. Sometimes we get to hike and stuff, but I guess I don't consider so much that it can be so lonely. And so I'm sorry to hear that, but I guess it is part of the game. And
it is.
So you just have to work with it.
Yeah.
So speaking of like part of the game, something that always interests me, I love talking to people about how they maintain healthy mental health. So what are some tips or things that you do to maintain healthy life? Do you ever get anxiety, depression, those types of things? And if you do, how do you remedy that?
It's definitely, I mean, extremely important to take care of yourself, of your mental health. And exactly for the reason, we just talked about, like, this career path being very lonely. I feel like a lot of people just feel that way in their life, no matter what they pursue, no matter what they go through. And for me, I think it starts with just a healthy lifestyle in general. Like, it goes from everywhere, from my diet,
Like, you're a vegan,
exercise,
right?
Yes.
I love that about you. You are so passionate about even the clothes that you wear. I know that you only wear vegan clothes, sustainable clothes. So I love that about you.
Thank you. I try. It's difficult with clothing, because there are so many
brands that I'm sure that are trying to sponsor you and things like that. So
and also
if you want to sponsor her, please, no leather. She does take clothes.
I do. I love clothes.
We can probably fit in the same size. No. Well, so but I interrupted because I thought of that point. But so I know you have a healthy diet, and so what else? Like, when you were going through that transition with your previous label, did you feel like you were ever depressed or anxious? And
so it's a tough question for me to answer, because I feel like, of course, like, I have moments of doubt and anxiety where, I feel like really low, but at the same time, I don't really allow myself to go down that route. And so something inside of me always, like, kind of pulls me pulls me back up.
You have that buoy, like in the middle of the ocean, that's just always pulling you up.
Exactly. And so for me, it's, it's different stuff. It's usually, I try to like do a lot of like fitness. I started doing boxing, for example.
I know, and she won't let me go because I have these long nails.
Yeah. Now I have short nails. Actually, I used to have long nails all the time, but yeah. I started doing boxing with an amazing trainer, Lorena, at Box Union. That's actually really dope. If you guys are in LA and want to try her classes, it really changed my life. It made me just feel so much more powerful, more in control of my body, of everything, and it just like helps me reset.
It's mental and physical.
Yep.
I mean, I do love boxing. It's for the same reasons. So that anything that's mental and physical, it really takes. I mean, you can't think about the things that you're stressed out.
Exactly. Or if you do, you think about them in a different light. If that makes sense.
It's perspective.
Where you take control.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, but that is these things that you're talking about, and it's why I asked you to be on the podcast, because it makes you, you talked about authenticity. That is the biggest part of what I feel makes someone pretty badass. And so maybe your lifestyle, maybe your choices, all the way that you live your life, maybe isn't for someone else, but for you. I see it, I know you, and I know that you embody every single part of that and you own it. And so I love that about you. I know I didn't bring tissues, so I'm not going to talk about too many things that are going to get me emotional. But okay, so you mentioned that you don't allow yourself to get to a certain point, and like you have that buoy. And not all of us have that. I mean, for myself, I do now. When I wrote the book, Pretty Depressed, I created a mental health roadmap. And when I went through, I am getting a little teary.
It's okay.
When I went through this breakup, I got really scared that I was going to be depressed again, that I was going to get to that point of just not wanting to live, just losing everything that I worked for. And so I just was clamoring. And then, like I said, that song came along and it kind of gave me a little bit of hope. And it's a fun, happy song. So it's funny because normally, you'll hear some song like Beyonce, like Halo or something that's going to pick you up. But this one was fun for me. And then I met you and you became part of my mental health toolkit. And so it's true. I mean, the people that you surround yourself with and the environment that you're in, that is really what's going to set the tone. And
Definitely. Totally agree.
It was, for the first time in my life, I didn't really hit rock bottom after something traumatic. And so that is why I definitely, I wanted to start the podcast. I mean, it was a plan already, but I didn't really know what being pretty badass meant to me at the time. And so when I gave myself a couple months to recover, I knew it was time to start this podcast so that I could share that, okay, like I was pretty depressed. Actually, not just pretty. I was very depressed at one point in my life. And then I got pretty happy. And then things fell apart. But I had a net this time.
Yeah.
And now I'm just a little bit higher. I didn't fall all the way to the bottom. And now I can start climbing my way back out to being pretty badass. And it's, I'm going to clap for myself because we have to do that. I mean, life is tough and it's, sometimes you're on top of the world and then just the bottom falls out. And so that happened for you. That's why you came up with this song. And yeah, so, you talked about for you sacrificing for your music. And, I really, I, I, for me, like, I'm not as good at sacrificing with certain things. And so that inspires me that you do that. Although it scares me because I've had partners that would sacrifice. And so I guess there's probably finding balance in that.
Of course.
That really helps. Because for me, love is the most important thing. And so I have lots of different careers and things that I juggle. I work in biotech. Mental health advocate. I have my denim, and it's like, I don't know. I come up. I think maybe if I stuck with one thing, but then hey, I wouldn't be here. So
and she's just trying to make it sound like it's not a big deal, but she's just a humble genius.
No, that's that's sweet.
Yeah, smart, talented, beautiful.
Thank you.
Creative.
Okay, I'm interviewing you.
Come on.
No, it's but for me, I want to be a little more selfish. Like, and not saying that that's selfish what you're doing. But I want to be a little more selfish and make sacrifices for the things that I love and that I'm passionate about, because I don't think I knew that you could really have balance. And maybe it was just the way I've seen things done, people losing themselves, or, in the industry, you see all the time people getting, caught up in a certain lifestyle or craving the money, craving the fame. And so I was kind of afraid of it. But I feel like I'm missing out on doing what I'm most passionate about, which is helping people, connecting with people, doing things like this. And so I acknowledge that it will force me to be a little more selfish and have to sacrifice certain things to get to where I want to be. Because I do see myself being able to tell my story, interview people that inspire me, and just really help people lift up out of the darkest places, because I've been there.
Yeah.
And so I guess, it's like, so thank you for doing that. And, like I said, it scares me to do it. And, but people like you make it look easy.
Thank you.
So with that said, does anything scare you?
Yeah, of course. Loneliness scares me a lot. It did scare me even more when I first moved here, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends at the time I left. Also, my ex-boyfriend that was in France, who I had been with for many, many years. It was an almost 8-year-long relationship.
Wow.
So
you were still together?
We were still together when I moved here, but
Okay.
it became really too difficult. And then with COVID, I wasn't able to go back to France. He wasn't able to come here. We didn't see each other for 2 years.
Wow.
And plus, we had obviously like other stuff that we were dealing with in our relationship. But it was, my first real love story. So this was really, really hard, and it was very tough for me to be here alone. And, that was part of the sacrifice. But it wasn't, when you were saying the word selfish earlier, I don't think I really agree with that word, because I didn't feel selfish doing it because it hurt me a lot. It's more just having a goal and knowing what to do to get to it. But that wasn't, obviously, like all these sacrifices, leaving my family, my ex-boyfriend, my friends. It wasn't, because I didn't care about them, or I wanted to do something for myself that, would hurt someone else, but wouldn't really care because I would do something better for myself. No, it was part of of a plan, and the goal was also to make all these people happy and proud, and they were obviously still involved in the project and in my life, but I just couldn't be.
I
at the
agree
same
with you.
place,
The
know?
word, I think the reason I use it is because my therapists, they
Yeah.
always say to me, you need to be more selfish. And I thought, I don't want to be selfish. And because the word to me, it seems negative, right?
But I think
So-
they're probably telling you that under a different light, because I know you a little bit. And this might have been in reference to you giving too much of yourself and of your energy to relationships and people that were not really reciprocating it. So this is different, correct?
Yeah, I mean, look at her she's turning it around on me, turning it around. Yeah, I tend to, and that's something that I finally feel like I'm mastering. You choose relationships where often they're going to teach you and you're going to have to grow. So I definitely did that. The partners I was choosing in the past, I mean, gosh, they talk about people pushing buttons. These people were creating new buttons. I was like,
Yeah.
it was, yeah. But I'm grateful for moments like that because it is what brought me here. And
Of course.
it's what, I mean, I think I've talked to you about it and probably not into depth, but it's why I did the IV ketamine treatments.
Yeah.
I've chosen some pretty major, I mean, not even chosen, it was like life or death at that point in my life where it was, I chose some controversial treatments, things that I never would have dreamt that I would have done. So I guess, in a lot of ways, we do sacrifice, it's like every day
Yeah,
we're
of course.
sacrificing. So it's like,
Because we make choices. That's what life is made of.
And so
when you make a choice, you always
everything
have to
everything
sacrifice
is a choice.
something. Yeah.
So, for some people it's a career and some people it starts with because I actually come into contact with a lot of people that have mental health issues because I promote about it and I advocate for it. So they'll often come to me and I see the people that are willing to do the work and that aren't willing to do the work. And so there are sacrifices that you have to make, whether it's leaving a relationship that is not serving you or that's keeping you in an unhealthy environment. I mean, everything is a choice. And so I guess I never knew that I could relate to you sacrificing, but I did have to sacrifice things in my life where I knew that I had to choose myself.
Yeah.
So I finally am choosing myself. So I'm getting closer to this badass version of myself. And
You are already. You just have to embrace it more.
Thank you. So when's the last time that you were home?
It was last Christmas.
Last Christmas. Okay, so you've been home
Gave you my
recently.
heart.
Are you going to sing? You're singing us a little of your Christmas song. I think we're going to have to wait.
Yes, this is a major surprise.
Well, I'm really excited.
It's a really
about
cool
that.
Christmas song. Okay, it's like it's
So
cool.
is it like
the
a
beat is
Mariah Carey
cool.
Christmas song? Or?
No, it's a dirty pop.
Dirty Pop. Oh, yeah.
Christmas song.
That's her vibe, Dirty Pop. So tell me a little bit more about Dirty Pop.
So dirty pop is the name I gave my music because, people kept asking me, okay, so like, what's your sound? What's your genre? And I always felt like it was hard for me to put my music in a box because there's so many
Languages.
languages, influences, and cultures that create my sound because of my story, because of the people I interact with and I create with, and what I've learned in my life. And so I called it dirty pop because it's a mix of pop. It's mainly pop, with influences from Afrobeats, Latin sounds, French pop, and it's a mix of French, English, and Spanish. So, yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you did, and it's just something that I've thought about just watching you and learning more about your music. So, how are you received? Because you're a blonde and you're, it's like light eyes, very Caucasian. How are you received in the Latin community or the Afro community, or like how are you received? Because from the outside seems like everybody loves you, and it's because you have an amazing, energy. And so do you ever get pushback, or how are you received?
I mean, honestly, so far, I've been so blessed, and for meeting so many amazing people. I went on tour in Latin America. I went to Mexico, to Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and in all of these places, like sometimes I felt more at home than I do in my own country, which is,
I think culturally too, it's like, I mean, being an American, I don't feel like we have that camaraderie. And so maybe that is why I gravitate towards, especially with music, Latin, different things. Like their community is so strong. And so that makes me really happy to know that they, take you in and make you feel like family.
Yeah.
And so that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's such, it's a beautiful journey. Like obviously there's, people that it's not like everybody's gonna love you, it's never gonna happen.
Of course.
It's not possible. But culturally, I've never felt any type of pushback just because of who I am. Because once again, we go back to authenticity. Like for me, I'm just a lover of the culture and the language. And, I'm just trying to take in as much as I can and try to just share, my art and my music with this audience and with my audience and these people that I meet, and just trying to bring light and love in the world. And I feel like whenever you come from a place of love, that's what you're going to attract.
Yes. That's definitely something that I've been feeling so much more lately. I mean, when I took a different perspective on what was happening in my life, I started meeting amazing people, and just things kept happening, like good things that are coming to my life. And I feel like every single day that more and more is happening. And so I know for you have some exciting news coming up, but things that you're working on. We talked about it a little bit. You're not ready to share, but you can share as much as you like. I'm like, but I know.
She knows everything.
I do.
But yeah, I mean, you're referring to my project, right? For Dirty Pop. So I have my Dirty Pop EP that's about to come out next year. It's in 2 parts. So it's going to be 5 songs on the first volume and 5 songs on the second volume. It's in 2 parts because, once again, like, it's 2 different vibes. The first vibe of the volume 1 is more pop and dance, and the second part is more Afro dance, Afro pop. So I'm super, super excited about it. And right now I'm working with some amazing producers on these songs. And
I love that you're not afraid to go for it all. Like lately I've just been embodying that you can have it all. Like, I know that we often limit ourselves and think, well, we can't have it all. Like, you should pick and choose different things. But I love that you are showing that you can have it all.
Yeah.
And
at your own pace, and what's meant for you will be yours,
Absolutely. Okay. So my last question is,
tell me,
what do you think makes you pretty badass?
Ugh.
I can think of a million things, but this is your question. And so I'm turning it over to you.
I mean, I don't have them on today, but definitely my autumn navectoire.
Oh, stop.
denim.
No, you're not.
This makes me pretty badass.
You do look really cute in my stuff. Yeah. So,
And other than that, probably, you know, what I'm most happy about myself would be, that I've never given up on my dreams, and I've stayed myself through everything I've been through, and you know, I've been able to fight for my values and keep making choices based on my personal values and principles and not compromise on that. And yeah, that's something that I'm proud of.
well, I think that's pretty badass. And I thank you so much for being here. And if you guys enjoyed this, she's my first guinea pig. Please subscribe, follow us, do all the things. And I look forward to you, and you'll be back, but I look forward to interviewing more people that hopefully inspire you. And if you have any comments or suggestions, let me know. So thank you so much, and just keep striving to be pretty badass. Thank you, Marie. I love you.
Autumn. I love you more.
Oh yeah, you can't see me.
You're so badass.
Well, cheers, darling.
Oh, cheers. We didn't even drink.
I did once.
Oh my God. I had like one sip. Like,
No, I did. I did.
and
Cool.
guys, don't forget to follow me on Instagram to know all about my next releases. The Christmas song is coming, and the whole Dirty Pop journey is about to start. So
Dirty Pop is
put your
about to
seatbelt
begin.
on.
Oh, click.
We're taking off. January, we're popping.
No matter the wave I'm riding, tell me have you decided? 'Cause either way